I know it's a lot of people who wanted me to do some kind of commentary on Diddy and Diddy's sentencing, right? For those of you who follow me, you already know what I said before, but let's get back to it. So just to refresh your memory, I said Judge Subramanian is from East Indian background and doing some research on their community. This ain't my words, so I don't need somebody who is in their feelings and feel like they have to defend massa to start jumping all over my comments. Nowhere did I say he is definitely racist, but I did say that racism against black people, especially African Americans in the community from which he comes from and the way he was raised, is very prominent. A lot of them are. It's something that goes into you as you are being raised. So your biases cannot just leave you because you became a judge. Just like a racist police officer doesn't stop being racist when he puts on his uniform, puts his gun on his side, and gets a badge. And then when he takes it off, he's back to being racist again. Nah, he's racist all the way through, which affects the way how he deals with people of a certain background when he comes across them. And I'm speaking about a Caucasian police officer just for an example, right? Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so we're notified every time a new video goes up on this channel, which is SouFLoTV. Hit that subscribe button too and help the channel to continue to grow, and shout out to the people who are subscribed, and an even bigger shout out to my members of my family on the SouFLoTV family. They give that extra layer of support, you know what I mean? They rate me, so them put in a extra $10 every month so that they can have their membership. And the membership goes a long way. That means the chat is private when we go live all week. Only one day we give the chat to everybody, and the rest of the days the chat is yours if you are a member, right? All right, let's get into this Diddy sentencing. Y'all notice that Diddy's family leaving the courtroom, none of them were crying. None of them were in tears and in shambles. If he had gotten 11 years, like the prosecution had suggested the judge give him, his family would have been in shambles. They would have been in tears. They would have been crying. That's a long time. That's over a decade. And he is 57 years old, I believe. So 67 pushing almost 70 coming out of prison. No matter how much money you have, it's still a long time, right? Plus, you don't know how long your mom is going to live. His mom just had brain surgery, and she's recovering from that, which they were trying to keep hush until the last minute. So time is of the essence. They would have been in shambles. The judge said 50 months. Now, I was shocked at first when I heard 50. I didn't hear the months part. And then I ran to Google and I said, Google, how much is 50 months in years? And Google said 50 months equals 4 years and 2 months. And I said, okay, that ain't so bad. That's not so bad after all. So look at the bright side, right? Nothing that they do from now on, like there's no judgment that says his assets have to be liquefied. We all know that man worked hard for his empire that he has. He robbed a few people along the way, but who hasn't, right? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying he genuinely worked hard, built kingdoms, and became wealthy. So at the top of that, we got to understand that he's still rich. He's still going to be rich when he gets out. Not only that, the 50 months or 4 years and 2 months might sound scary to somebody who does not understand how time is calculated and how the time is handed out. So I have two experts in the field of law who are going to give you some kind of an understanding of how that calculates and how soon Diddy will be home. For a lot of you, this might be a bit shocking. So first of all, here is Judge Mathis saying what he would have done, right? Watch.
I would have given him 2 years for each count, 4 years. The difference is I would run them concurrently, meaning he would do 2 years. And
so you would have given him 2 years total?
Yes, 2 years total. I believe he has a mental disorder.
Well, they said it in the trial that he was bipolar.
Oh,
they said that, his lawyers.
See, I'm a doctor too. But yeah, and so I don't think they focused enough on that in the sentencing. They should have asked the judge, will you give our client this amount of time, 24 months, or even what did they say, 15 months they were asking for?
Right, 14.
Or 14 months? Right. Give him that and condition it upon him adhering to a treatment plan that you order.
Okay, so that's the Mathis verdict by Judge Mathis and the Amir Mathis. Judge Mathis and Amir Mathis has this podcast called The Mathis Verdict. And Judge Mathis, a seasoned judge, Judge Mathis said Diddy was over-sentenced. And I told y'all that Diddy was going to be over-sentenced. There are only two things my prediction said that should happen is, one, he should walk into court and he should have gotten the time served. Time served, you're on your way. Or, and if the judge wants to put him on any community service, anything like that, use him on the outside, use his star power and his influence on the outside, you know, while supervising his rehabilitation, then that would have been fine. But he should have walked out of jail. The second thing I said was going to happen is if it didn't go like that, I know for a fact that Judge Subramanian is going to give him some time. And we'll get into why I said he's going to give him some time. But that's Judge Mathis. Judge Mathis said he would have sentenced him to 2 years, and those 2 years on each count, meaning he would have gotten 4 years total. However, he would have ran the 4 years concurrently, meaning he would have only gotten 2 years. Now, if you think about it, 2 years with 13 months time served, Diddy would have only had 9 months, 10 to, let me see. He would have only had a few more months left in prison, in jail. In that space, he could have actually, with 85% time served on top of that, and for good behavior because he is enrolled in a program, counseling, he's going through behavioral counseling, and he is doing a program behind bars that helps other inmates to understand business and investment classes, etc. A model inmate, put that to the record too. That qualifies. He would have been out of there in no time anyways. He probably would have had like a couple of months left and then he would have been out. And that would have been a fair sentencing, which is exactly what I said should have been done, right? Now, another expert who actually does this for a living, he calculates time, as in how the time is given out. And this is what he has to say. This one will shock you. Diddy won't be in for long. Okay, this one will shock you. So here goes his explanation.
So Diddy got sentenced to 50 months in the Southern District of New York. And what do I think about it as the founder of Federal Prison Tips and one of the most watched influencers in the federal prison space? I think that Diddy was over-sentenced. And let me tell you why. At this point in time, he only has the charge of transporting somebody for prostitution in New York. And as I've said before in some TikTok lives and probably some TikTok videos, when you're a business person in New York and you're in Manhattan, most of the prostitutes come from New Jersey or from Philadelphia or from Atlantic City, not from New York City, unless you're down on 8th Street or something like that. But that's a whole story for another day. So there are millions of men out there that have done the same crime that they just sentenced Diddy to 50 months in federal prison. They should have thrown the whole thing out the window after he didn't get those RICO and sex trafficking charges. And will Diddy get out of federal prison? Well, he is fully SCA and FSA eligible because, believe it or not, transportation for prostitution is 100% FSA eligible. So, in order to calculate a statutory maximum home confinement eligibility date, you take the day that he went into into custody, which was September 16, 2024, and we're going to add 50 months to that. Then we're going to reduce it to the 85% between those 2 dates, and then we actually start counting his FSA not from that September date, but from today, because he's sentenced as of today. And we add that FSA award and the SCA award on top, and he is home November 27th, 2026. His statutory maximum home confinement eligibility date will be November 27th, 2026, which will be Black Friday 2026. He'll be out shopping with everybody else. Are you past your statutory maximum home confinement eligibility date? We can probably help. Give us a call at 407-434-0175, 7 days a week and 24 hours a day at federalprisontips.com. So
right.
Diddy got...
So those are the experts in that field, right? And what it comes down to is Diddy will be out, like he said, by Black Friday of 2026. So, I mean, I was surprised to see so many people wanted him to do like 15 years, 30 years. Throw the book at him, Judge. Keep him in there. Keep him locked up. Okay, let's start off with all the obvious. Judge Subramanian's background, East Indian, and how they generally feel about black people, especially African American, played a great part in Diddy's sentencing. Every time I say something about somebody who is not black, that has done something to somebody who is black, you have these black people who feel like they have to defend everybody else who is non-black. So, although I've explained this before, I'll go ahead and do it again. I was talking to somebody yesterday and I said, his East Indian background definitely played a role, and he does hold bias against black people. And the person said, SouFLo, I expected way better from you. Come on, this has nothing to do with race, unless you can specifically show me. And I said, well, I showed instances before throughout the trial, but I guess you don't follow me enough to see in videos, so let me do it again. Well, let me do it right here for everybody today. Here we go. Repeat for those who've heard it before, first time for those who've never heard this. So, during the trial, there are two major moves that Judge Subramanian did that had me confirmed for what I was already thinking. I was already thinking this judge does not like Diddy. And I was thinking this judge does not like Diddy. Three things. This judge does not like Diddy because before the trial happened, right? The prosecution went to the judge and said, hey, judge, I want you to put some kind of order on his family because they are manipulating the media space. And this could affect our potential jury pool. You notice I started talking slow because I want you to understand this. The prosecution went to him and said, judge, I want you to put some kind of mandate on his family because they are using the media space, social media, and to manipulate the potential jury pool. This right when they were about to pick the jurors for this case. Do you know what that was about? That was about Diddy's children coming together to sit in front of a camera like this and to sing happy birthday to their father who was spending his first birthday incarcerated behind bars. You know that Diddy, every birthday for him, it's white party and yachts and, you know, the lavish life like he can afford and the star life like he's accustomed to. So sitting in a prison cell or a jail cell, turning 57, or however much he was turning, his children were trying to boost his spirit. So they did a video to put it to social media. When the judge granted the prosecution that, the judge basically reprimanded his family for doing a video and putting it on social media saying happy birthday to their dad. Now, this is in the same time and space where all media outlets, whether you were a small-time vlogger channel, on YouTube influencer channel, or major news networks, they were all putting out stories about Diddy and children and these accusations that keep coming in. And there's a tunnel that's under one of his mansions that leads to some other place, and this is like the sex trafficking tunnel and all this. They were allowing all the misinformation to go out there from major news media networks Don't you think those were influencing the potential jury pool, as in people sitting out here watching like me and you? Because to be honest, right, the amount of stuff that I soaked up from the media leading up to Diddy's channel, I actually thought, damn, when they show these videos that they have of these freak-offs, we're probably going to see even kids in some of these videos. He's going to prison forever. Are we going to see him in a video pissing on a little 13-year-old girl like we did see R. Kelly in that video? Oh, because I had the R. Kelly video back in the day. I had it on VHS tape. Yeah. So I thought, damn, we're going to see all these disparaging things, all these crazy things about Diddy, and he's definitely going to prison. Because that's the narrative they were allowed to give and build in the public space. And nobody said anything about that. The judge didn't say to the news media, you can't run these kinds of stories against him because this could be very influential to the minds of the potential jurors, where if they come in here thinking he's wrong already, it might be difficult to have a fair trial for him. That's strike one for Judge Subramanian for me. And I thought, damn, you reprimanded the family, but you didn't say anything to any of these major news media networks. That's one. There was the second incident now moving into the trial, where that young lady, Cassie's friend, who said Diddy held her upside down out a balcony window or out of a balcony in Los Angeles, as if he was going to drop her, right? Imagine somebody holding you over a balcony of some high-rise hotel and by your ankles, and they're about to drop you over the window. Diddy's attorneys met with prosecution. Prosecution says, hey, we're having this person testify against your client, and this is what she's going to say, that he was in LA and he held her over the balcony. Well, Diddy's lawyers were able to go dig up proof, like video footage from the hotel he was staying at in New York at that time, to prove that he was not even in LA at that time. And there were major functions happening in New York that he was attending, and he was not in LA at that time. So they said that to them, like, you can't have her testify against him about that. That's going to taint the jury. And we have proof that he was not there, so she's lying. Well, what they did was, they still took that same person, put her on the stand, and allowed her to testify against Diddy. And then, here goes Judge Subramanian again. Diddy's attorneys called for a mistrial. That was the first time they called for a mistrial. The judge says, nah, we're not going to mistrial. What's the mistrial on the grounds of? It's on the grounds of them knowingly perjured the court, knowingly brought this woman in here to tell a lie after we already proved to them behind the scenes that that's not going to fly because we have receipts that he was not there at that time, even on the West Coast. The judge said, okay, we're not going to throw this case out, but we're not going to rule a mistrial, but what we're going to do is we're going to strike her testimony from the record. That means as if she never testified. Now, my problem with that was, you can't get up there in a trial that was like this and say in front of a jury of 12 that he did all these things to me. Some little scrawny white girl getting up there saying this rich, big, black, billionaire, millionaire man did this to me, and oh, just don't strike it from your mind as if you've never heard it. Nah, the bias is already set in based on what you allowed on the stand, right? Second time, I looked at Judge Subramanian and I said again, yep, he definitely does not like Diddy, and he definitely is leaning towards helping the prosecution to get a win. Now, mind you, a judge is supposed to be non-biased. That means he sits in the middle, he takes no sides, he just officiates and makes sure that everything is done correctly according to the books, right? The whole trial, he was leaning towards the prosecution. That's not the job of a judge. Again, the third strike for me now was when he pulled that stunt by removing that juror last minute from that trial. When he removed that juror from the trial the last minute, we don't know if he's being truthful about where he lives. Get him up out of here. And then the person he replaced him with, completely opposite person. I was like, okay, you replace somebody who loves classical music, You replace somebody who loves hip-hop, is from the Bronx, 90s hip-hop to early 2000s hip-hop, he said, which is Diddy's era of shine, right? And you remove him, a person of color at that. What are the odds of having a not guilty from him? So take him off, find some reason to get him off, and let's get a guy in here who was raised in the suburbs, way out in the sticks. He's not from the city. He has a master's degree in engineering. His classical music is his favorite music. He's Caucasian, XYZ. And I said, yup. So this juror replacement at the last minute, he was the last bullet out the gun for me. And they still lost the case. They still lost the case. They still were not able to prove racketeering. They still were not able to prove sex trafficking, even after Judge Subramanian purposely did those 3 moves I just explained to you. Do you see how I took my time to explain to you why I think what I think? I don't want nobody in my comment section telling me that what I thought was invalid unless you can explain the same way why you think what you think. Now, with that said, I also think that the judge sentenced Diddy based on the things he got found not guilty for already. Because he went in there and he was like, well, I'm taking into consideration your abusive ways towards women, what you've done in the past concerning women. You talking about the video with Cassie in it? That's the only thing you could be talking about. Are you talking about their testimonies? Well, it's their word against his. They didn't have no proof. Or you're talking about the length of time and those words where they said they were in an abusive relationship. But if you listen, they too said that they abused Sean P. Diddy Combs as well. So as a judge, again, being non-biased, you should have looked at it like, I don't see a pattern of a string of women. This guy gets into relationships. Obviously, come on, this is Diddy. He could have had like 12, 15, 20 women up there. He got into relationships. One of them lasted over a decade. That's with Cassie. The more recent one with Jane, who is 50 Cent's baby mom, he's still paying all her bills. She is still a kept woman. She was on the way to the hotel to give him a freak off the night before he got arrested. None of that means anything to you? If she was that scared of him and that running away from him, she would have said, yes, he's in police custody now. I'm out of here. Nah, she was on her way to give him a last freak off before he gets arrested and put behind bars. That's why they found all the stuff that they found in the hotel room where he was arrested, the pink cocaine and the condoms and all that other stuff. And she admitted that in court, that she was on her way over there to give him another freak off. So with all that said, right, I just feel like Judge Subramanian, his racial bias played a big part in the decision that he made. Now, I know my opinion might not be popular, but I studied him the entire trial, and this is what I came up with. He claims Diddy's history of abuse played a part in his decision. Judge Subramanian's culture is super abusive to their women. East Indian culture, super abusive to their women. Or women are seen subserviently. Let's not talk about the caste system. The caste system in their culture. Well, if you don't know what the caste system in their culture is, go and look it up. And then I want you to look at who are the Indians who are the most oppressed. Right? You will find out that it's the darker Indians, and especially the ones who are super dark skinned, they are hella oppressed. Him being raised with a caste system mentality, him being told all kinds of things as he's growing up about African Americans, that plays another part in it. You know, if Judge Subramanian wanted to be fair, I wrote this down. I said he could have suspended that sentence and told Diddy, one slip up and you will be right back in here to serve all this time. Do you know who has a sweet deal like that? Brian Steele, who represented Diddy on this case, also represented Young Thug on his case. I think Young Thug has like 15 years of prison time suspended. Now, when a judge says suspended, you will hear it sound like this in court. I sentence you to 15 years in state prison at, Georgia or New York or wherever. But that sentence is suspended contingent upon. Meaning that sentence is suspended, it's hanging in the air. So you're going to go out here and you're going to be on probation, which means you'll be supervised and watched and monitored closely for a certain period of time. And if you mess up within this period of time, you will be right back in here to serve these 15 years. The judge could have sentenced Diddy to some time and then suspended the sentence and have him walk out yesterday or Friday, that same day. Now, $500,000 Diddy has to pay back, 50 months and 5 years supervised released. Y'all notice something? 50 months served, to serve. That's his time given. 5 years supervised probation after is another 5 again. $500,000 is another 5 again. Granted, they said that the judge would have asked for more money, but the $500,000 is the max that he could ask for in this case, according to the statute in this situation. So the $500K it is. So I went and looked up what the 555 means and what 5 means in Hindu, what 5 means in religion, what 5 means in witchcraft, what 5 means in, and I'm reading deep into everything. So 5 basically means a renewal. It basically means new experience. It basically means, from what I've gathered from it, a change of life. So it's like he's been struck with the 555, which is now it's time for him to go through something he's never been through before. Now it's time for him to, something that will change him significantly. And the judge did say he doesn't think that Diddy had enough time behind bars to change. And he thinks if he lets him out today, then the same things that he is in here for, he will continue to do just that. Which I didn't agree with. Diddy was shaken to his core, and you could tell. That man was ready to get out and change his whole life. Right? Now, the question of the day is, because whatever the judge did just now, his lawyers will appeal. They have grounds to appeal, and I believe that his appeal is going to be successful. The wild card in all of this, though, is Donald Trump. Donald Trump already said, it's going to be difficult for me to, think about pardoning him because we used to be cool. But basically, he shitted on me. We used to be cool, and he turned against me in this election, started saying some really bad things about me. He's a pretty influential guy, so he was leading a lot of people against me, which now I'm holding the blade, the handle, and he's holding the blade of the sword. Power has shifted now. So I don't know if it's going to be okay for me to, maybe I'll see. Down the road, I'll see. I'll probably wait till he gets sentenced first, and then I'll see, is what Trump said last. I would probably wait till he gets sentenced first, then I'll see. Somewhere in my mind, I'm thinking Donald Trump was waiting for him to get sentenced. Now, I'll do the connections for you. Judge Subramanian, his mentor, the person he worked under that guided him into being the first Indian in the United States of America's history to be elected into the position he is in, or chosen and put into that position. The judge who did that for him is a conservative, right-wing, Donald Trump supporter judge. That's Judge Subramanian's mentor. Go look it up. So when Trump said, I'll probably just wait till he's sentenced first and then I'll see, I thought, damn, he definitely is going to get some time. Because if you believe for a second that these people don't speak to each other behind the scenes and things aren't said, you're not even on Earth. You're in a whole nother galaxy, right? So now that he is sentenced, I'm thinking somewhere down the line, Trump might let him stew for a couple more months, and then one morning we'll wake up and we'll see Sean P. Diddy Combs pardoned by President Trump. He'll have to work for Trump after this, because the deal is going to be like, hey, I can get you out of here, but I don't need you getting out of here and trampling all over my name and my legacy. I need you to actually be an advocate. So if you don't, I don't want you to be silent either. I need you to be an advocate. Come work for me. If you can't do that, then I'll just leave you here and you just do your time. It depends on how bad Diddy wants to get out. The experts say he should be out by 2026, the end of 2026, sometime in 2027 if things are really bad. Does he want to stay? Say, hell no, I'm not working for you. I'm not doing anything for you. Just let me do my time. Or could it be a case of, yes, please get me out. I swear I'll be good. And this, I get to get home to my family. One thing I know is prison is a messed up place. And the first place that Diddy hits from the Brooklyn jail is Rikers Island. Rikers Island is, pardon my language, fucked up place to be. So with him going there, his lawyers are already saying they fear sexual molestation and rape, male-on-male rape in that prison, etc., etc. He's in danger, rah-rah. He's definitely probably going to be in solitary confinement there, which could play a big role on your mind, your mental health. Being locked down, nobody to talk to 23 hours a day. Sometimes you don't get out, all that kind of stuff. But that's prison, right? Right. And then they said eventually he'll probably be moved more upstate to a different kind of more like a prison camp environment than Rikers environment. And then eventually he'll get out. I don't know. Diddy might be in a desperate situation to like, hey man, please pardon me. I beg you. Pardon me. $50 million. Since they didn't want to take it from me on bail, I'll give it to you in cash. 50 mil. 20 mil, 30 mil, however it is. Let's exchange this money behind the scenes. You might have to pay your way up out of this. I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box. And then Diddy could come home. So I'll close this video by saying this. Judge Subramanian did messed up. And I knew he was going to do it. But we had just had to wait to see it. And I was still hoping that the right thing was done. But it wasn't. For all the people who are saying, oh, so you support Diddy and what he did to these women, and I hope something happens to your daughter like that. Well, check it out, right? Teach your daughter to own up to what they do, their decisions. Teach your daughters that their decisions have consequences. Teach your daughters to stay away from men and their money, especially men who have a lot of money who can give you all these trinkets you ever dreamed of. Stay the hell away from them and work for your own. Teach your daughters that their dreams being fulfilled won't come to them through a man. It'll come from her own hard work. Teach your daughters accountability. Accountability. Don't get out here and get high on drugs and drunk and do some freaky shit and then you want to blame the world when you get sober. Oh, he made me sleep with 3 men at a time. But when you were doing it, you were enjoying it. When you were doing it and you were getting the $500,000 shopping sprees, flowing out on private jets, you're in Paris doing shopping, you're walking red carpet events, you're at the Met Gala, you're everywhere that is somewhere, and you're in these exotic locations for birthdays and whatever else celebrations, it was all good. And you just got to do a little freaky something strange for a little piece of change behind the scenes. And then when you get older, you start having regrets. Damn, they probably looking at me and laughing at me because he slutted me out. I got to think of a way to get back. And then you start telling lies on people. Teach your daughters accountability, right? I know accountability is like the monster that chases most women, and she is running for her dear life because she does not want to be caught by that monster. So she is like Usain Bolt in his prime on that track, Shelly and Fraser Price. She's out of there. No accountability is not catching me. Accountability. There's nothing in there that says Cassie was sex trafficked. There's nothing in there that says any of the women that Diddy was with was sex trafficked. And that is why a jury of 12 said he beats the sex trafficking charge, he beats the racketeering charges, he beats all the charges that were supposed to give him a lot of time in prison, and the only thing they could get him for was transportation to engage in, meaning he took willing participants, grown adults who are agreeing to go with him, he took them transported to go engage in the act of sexual intercourse in exchange for whatever. That means if he's guilty, they're guilty too. But oh, let's not forget, they struck a deal with the prosecution, right? We'll testify against him, we'll play the victim, and you can use that to sentence him or to find him guilty. And in exchange, you don't hit us with transportation to engage under the Mann Act, because they very well could have been hit with the same charges. Let's not talk about Gina, victim number 3, who wrote to the judge, telling the judge, and look at how everybody is going to sweep over this, telling the judge that the prosecution basically forced me, or the investigators basically forced me into feeling like a victim, even when I kept telling them, like, I'm not a victim. I don't consider myself a victim. Everything I did with Sean, I did it because I wanted to. Grown person making grown people decisions. They still went and put on the paperwork which was presented in court. He has 3 victims. Even though victim number 3 kept saying, I am not a victim. Y'all came to me because you knew I was in a relationship with them. I'm working with you. You're asking me questions. I'm answering. I'm not answering how you want me to answer. So you're going to put your own words in, right? Wow. She wrote a letter to the judge, Subramanian. How come he didn't take that into consideration? Accountability. Gina was the only one who was accountable for what the hell was happening in their relationship. I'm going to leave it right there. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's former religious advisor, spiritual advisor, being found guilty of sexually assaulting a 12-year-old for the past 5 years, only being sentenced to 5 months in jail. Are we going to talk about that? Or are we going to still keep saying, oh, I want Diddy to do 50 years in prison for stuff he did with grown consenting adults? Okay. I'll catch y'all on the next video. Hit that subscribe button. And for those of you who tune in the morning, I will see you tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and I'll be up early to put out a short where you will know exactly what time we go live. Don't forget, get your membership to the channel. Paid members, the chat is theirs. If you're not a paid member, you don't have access to the chat. But come on over and see us tomorrow morning, because usually on Monday mornings, the chat is open for everybody. All right? Diddy will be all right. He'll be out soon no matter what. And for the people who are just damn haters and jealous for no reason, because people hide behind their jealousy, they didn't make it famous, they didn't make it rich. He been rich for too long. Damn, he black and wealthy. For those people, right, hating on him to make you feel like your life is going somewhere now, or he has fallen, I guarantee you, just like how y'all did with Vybz Kartel, he'll do his time, he'll come out of prison, he'll still be rich, way richer than you are, and your broke ass will still be broke and still have not figured out where you're going with yours. I promise you. You'll see. I'm out. Peace.